again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right on the show today, the Indian men's cricket team celebrated their Tailenders, number 10 and number 11, avoiding a follow-on. What that means is that they will at least manage to draw that third test against Australia. But the story today, Indian batters facing all the flak once again. And it's not just the senior most in the side earning the backlash, the youngsters are also facing the heat. And speaking of facing the heat, the losses do not seem to be ending for Man City manager Pep Guardiola. He's pushed against the wall and has now admitted he's not good enough. Is Pep Guardiola on the verge of a melting point? And the rags to riches story has struck the Women's Premier League. Simran Shaikh, a young cricketer living in Dharavi in the Indian city of Mumbai, Asia's biggest slum, is the highest priced player snapped up at the Women's Premier League auction that took place over the weekend. She speaks to the network on her achievement and what this means for people who are told not to dream big. But first, we look at the headlines. Australian pacer Josh Hazlewood is likely to miss the rest of the Border Gavaskar Test series. This is due to a calf injury that he sustained during the third test against India. On day 4 of the match, Cricket Australia said that Hazlewood will not play the rest of the match. Hazlewood only played the first test of the series and was previously ruled out of the second due to a side strain. New Zealand beat England by 423 runs in the third test match. Kane Williamson led the charge and helped piling on the runs. In response, England were all out for 234 runs, chasing that target. Mitchell Santner did maximum damage by picking up 7 wickets. Despite losing the last test, England won the series 2-1, with Harry Brook being the player of the series. Over in tennis, Nick Kyrgios will partner Novak Djokovic at the Brisbane International. The 29-year-old Australian announced his pairing up with Djokovic through an Instagram post. The tournament is considered a warm-up before the Australian Open next year and will begin on the 29th of December. African football governing body CAF announced the annual African Players of the Year awards. Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman was named Best Men's Player of the Year. Zambia's Barbara Banda won the top award in the women's category. The Premier League clash between West Ham and Bournemouth ended in a draw. West Ham's Lucas Paqueta scored the first goal late in the game after converting a penalty. Bournemouth's Enes Unal denied West Ham a win. The Turkish forward scored an equaliser just when the final whistle was blown. Indian men's cricket team are staring at defeat once again. The Gabba has brought back some nightmares that India had managed to banish for a while now. First, it was the agony being piled on, Australia scoring a mammoth 400-plus total in that first innings. The lone spark, the only bowler who managed to create any dent at all in that resilient Aussie display with the ball was Jasprit Bumrah. He was the only thorn in Australian side that really made things difficult for them. But the bigger concern at Brisbane has again resoundingly been India's batting. A batting that has looked underconfident and weak in the face of a very, very strong Australian bowling attack. Sure, it's a quality attack led by Pat Cummins, the experience of Nathan Lyon adding to that as well. But India needed to stand taller with the bat to fight it out, and they failed to do that yet again. Before the start of this test, I spoke about all the scrutiny being on the two best batters in that lineup, the two senior-most men for India, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. They did little to trouble the scoreboard in this test so far. Virat Kohli seems a shadow of that Perth knock itself, which happened just some weeks ago. Memories of that horrid series of India against England in 2014 are coming back. And the way he got dismissed this time did no justice to what his caliber entails. And Sunil Gavaskar, former India captain turned commentator, was at it once again, expressing his disappointment at Kohli's performance and his lack of intent that he saw during this particular series.
He only needs to look at his hero, Sachin Tendulkar.
The way in which he had kept his patience and control on his offside game, scoring those 241 runs at Sydney, he did not play any shot on the offside, or at least in the cover, because before that he was getting dismissed while attempting to play in covers.
Gavaskar telling Kohli to only look at one of his idols and what he did against the Aussies to turn the corner. Of course, not the kind of tip or advice Virat Kohli really needs at this point. It's truly been one of his worst faces in Test cricket. And of course, then there is Rohit Sharma, whom Sunil Gavaskar seems to have forgotten about. Yes, he's brought himself down the order in that batting lineup. Rohit Sharma and the Indian management feel this is the right attempt to salvage that batting. But is it really? After Rohit Sharma got dismissed for 10 runs, he showed his frustration. He threw his gloves as soon as he entered the dugout. It has been a very difficult series for him as captain and batter, and fans seem to have reacted to this moment. Well, we don't need to pay attention to that part of it, but what's the solution here? There are two ways of looking at this. Does the Indian think tank, which obviously also includes Virat Kohli, take a bold call to make changes in that batting order which could see them actually sit out? Or carry forward with this particular equation in the hope that the Indian team has enough firepower to ride out what clearly is a horrid phase, a transition phase? Now, here's the issue with that. Any bold move means onus on the youngsters to really come through and carry the responsibility and the burden, the bulk of the scoring. Yes, KL Rahul has impressed this time. He was the top scorer. Shubman Gill has nowhere near any runs to his name, which has resulted in a harsh remark from Gavaskar.
Leave your image in the dressing room. Certain shots are dangerous at the start of your innings before you are set, and you don't have the measure of what the wicket is doing. Keep all those shots in your back pocket. Take them out when you are 30, 40, 50 not out. Then can you get those shots again?
Gavaskar obviously referring to the way Shubman Gill got out in this test, but those are really some tough words to hear. Gavaskar telling Gill to leave his image in the dressing room where it belongs, saying that there is more show than tell. And the numbers do not back Gill here. He's been woefully short of the runs that he has promised, the talent that the Indian team backs. Gill has clearly missed the mark in a series where it has mattered the most, a must-win series against Australia. What we saw today was two bowlers in Jasprit Bumrah and Akash batting it out to avoid that follow-on, which they did. The cricketer who has been India's MVP with the ball, that's most valuable player, was also the MVP with the bat. And a dressing room that probably hardly smiled all this while celebrated the two getting the required runs to prevent that follow-on like it was a series win. And a loss moments, and of course to avoid that loss, moments before stumps on day 4. Is that the takeaway India wants from this series? That it has been just the bowlers and one particular senior at that, Jasprit Bumrah, who has given it their all. Some hard questions to ask and answers before the series flashes before their eyes, and a hard stop to the World Test Championship dreams. It's going to be a very hot under the collar if you are Pep Guardiola, because Manchester City seems to have forgotten how to win. Their latest loss to Manchester United, a team that itself is on the path of revival, has struck the team and Pep Guardiola particularly very hard. With the loss, it's now 8 out of 12 matches on the losing side. And what is turning out to be one of their lowest goal-scoring seasons. This is all too intense for a man who is the very definition of intense. Pep Guardiola plays hard, he's a lean, mean machine, and he expects his team to be the best. Truth is, this is the kind of phase Guardiola has never had to encounter so far. He's never been a part of such a slump in his illustrious long career.
I know when to play good. No play good, but the pressure, the tension. And in that position, so yeah, we give away again, and what I have to do, keep walking. But I'm the boss, I'm the manager. and I'm not good enough. It's as simple as that. I have to find a way to talk to them, to the training to them, to the way you have to play, the way you have to press, the way you have to build up. And I'm not good enough. I'm not doing well. That is the truth.
For a manager who's the embodiment of pride, ego and all things feisty, to admit he's not good enough has to be a shocker for his team, the management and of course the fans, the Manchester City fans. Because if Pep Guardiola is one thing, he is attitude. He displays the attitude of a winner, someone who believes his team is the very best. The Man City slump and the latest defeat has left fans more shocked than enraged. For anyone who's been watching Manchester City over the last few weeks, it's gone from anger and rage to now shock and bewilderment. Thierry Henry, who himself played under Guardiola while in Barcelona, had to admit the time has come to question the man who's won titles with Man City. Though he backed his former manager, he says Manchester City seem to have reached a point where there is no turning back from.
One thing I will say about this team, it's the first time it's happening like this to him in his career. Let's not kill the guy or this team because of what's happening. We all know it's the first time, and we're allowed to say it, that we can challenge his decisions in the way of letting Cole Palmer go.
Thierry Henry went on to question other aspects of Man City's horrid run. The offence is far from how impactful it used to be. The goals are not coming in. Erling Haaland is not the very best, or what he used to be. The rest aren't scoring. Gundogan is nowhere near the player he used to be after he's come back. And there seems to be no support in this facet of the game from anyone in that lineup. Just like how Thierry Henry questions Guardiola letting someone like Cole Palmer go. And of course, the problem compounds with the absence of Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winner. The defense looks bleak and non-existent. So it is a multi-pronged problem that Pep Guardiola is up against, making him go against the wall with this one.
The problem, Rodri, of course. We are playing this season without the best player, the Ballon d'Or, and without the best player in England last season. Phil had played 4 or 5 games, but no more than that in his best. So how not notice one team that play with a central defender, with a Ballon d'Or and the best player in the Premier League during all the season? Of course it's difficult. You know, Chicago Bulls won 6 NBA with Michael Jordan, right? So since then, Michael Jordan retired, how many?
Guardiola acknowledges they aren't their best without their best, comparing his team to the Chicago Bulls side that won titles when Michael Jordan was there with them. But the job of a manager is to find solutions when there aren't any, which he has failed to do. Now, it isn't in character for someone like Guardiola to quit or leave just when he's renewed the contract with Manchester City. But then again, saying he isn't good enough was also out of character. We will always be fascinated with the rags to riches stories, the perfect fairy tale story that makes it all worth our while. And this one is sure to warm your hearts. The daughter of a wireman living in the slums of Dharavi in the Indian city of Mumbai has been picked up for little over $223,000. The Gujarat WPL franchise snapped this batter up, making her the second highest paid uncapped player at the WPL ever. Simran Shaikh is one of 7 siblings, part of a family of 11, a big family residing in a tiny 2-room house in Dharavi that just happens to be in Asia's largest slum. It's also one of the most densely populated parts of the city, more than 10 lakh people per square mile. It's chaotic, it's messy, there's no time to think or even, and more so dream. That'll be asking for a bit too much. But this young cricketer, all of 22 years old, dared to dream.
सब धारावी को slum ही देखे है. But I am happy that they will now know that it has produced a cricketer too. There are a lot of good cricketers in Dharavi and I hope others make it big. My main aim is to play for India one day.
And clearly her big break brought Dharavi to a standstill. She was given a grand welcome as she came back home from the Women's Senior ODI Trophy in Ahmedabad. Simran Shaikh had to fight odds constantly all her life. If it was not her circumstances that threatened to derail her career, her neighbours and relatives would keep telling her father to stop her from playing alongside the boys, that it was crazy to pursue a profession that had no future for her.
के साथ खेलते थे ऐसा बचपन में, तो उनके साथ ही खेल खेल के थोड़ा ऐसा इंटरेस्ट आया कि चलो वुमेन्स क्रिकेट भी होता है तो चलो उसमें जाए और खेले। फिर धीरे धीरे प्रैक्टिस चालू किए, फिर खेलना, फिर स्टेट में अंडर 19 वगैरह सब खेले, तो फिर थोड़ा समझा कि ऐसा वुमेन्स का भी क्रिकेट होता है।
And if at all she felt defeated by all the noise around her, her mother, Akhtari Bano, proved to be her source of strength. She was resolute and kept encouraging Simran to push the boundaries and fight above her situation.
एंड मोमेंट पे उन्होंने ज्यादा ही सपोर्ट किया। पहली बात तो उन्होंने ही मना किया, फिर उन्होंने सपोर्ट भी किया। तो किट वगैरह भी जब स्टार्ट किए तो किट वगैरह भी वो खुद ही अपने पैसे से ही मुझे दिलाए। मेरे डैडी इतना ऐसा मना कर रहे थे, तो फिर मम्मी ज्यादा सपोर्ट करे तो खेलते खेलते इंशाल्लाह यहाँ तक कैसा जर्नी चालू हो।
And of course, speaking to an Indian daily, Simran said that the very same people who had asked her parents, her father, to stop endorsing her dreams were running in to congratulate her, were praising her achievements and her guts. She was picked up at the WPL in its inaugural season for a small sum of little over $11,000 and had a very average season. So much so that her franchise, UP Warriors, let her go. She has somehow turned things for her. She's got more attacking and has improved her strike rate now to be considered an asset in any middle order, something Gujarat franchise clearly saw in her.
Simran Shaikh is yet another valuable addition to the team. She brings a lot of power with her and has a rapid strike rate. There are only a handful of players who can do that in women's cricket. I think she will create a lot of healthy competition within the Indian batters for a place in the team, which is what you want in a squad.
Simran was the headliner on a day that saw the uncapped players raking in the big bids. At this WPL auction, 3 of the top 4 buys were uncapped players. Simran was the player who went for the most. She beat someone as explosive and experienced as West Indies star player Deandra Doughton, who came in a shade behind her. 16-year-old wicketkeeper from Madurai in India's southern state of Tamil Nadu came in third. She was picked up by the Mumbai Indians franchise, and Prema Rawat was the fourth, also an uncapped player. This 23-year-old was picked up by the Bengaluru franchise. Simran Shaikh has taken one of the first steps to rewrite her destiny. She knew she had no control over her past, how she came in and where she started her journey in the slums of Mumbai, but she surely knows she will do all she can to change her future. And this league can provide that platform for her to realize her ambitions. Time for last serve. We get to celebrations from Argentina. Atletico Valles Sarsfield have been crowned champions of Argentina's Premier Division. Take a look at fans who took to the streets in blue and white. That wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll see you again tomorrow, of course. Till then, do take care.